Hi there, and welcome to Books Are the New Rich. I am your host, April Charisse, and today I am joined by the wonderful Kimberly Smith. I love everything about Kimberly. When I first met her and got a chance to know about the book that she had written, I fell in love with the concept of her being a mystery or suspense writer. So I really love that idea. However, in getting a chance to know her more and a little bit about her background, I had the opportunity to appreciate her craft even more. So, just to give you a little background, Kimberly is an experienced lifestyle blogger, a brand influencer, copywriter, and published author. She has even got into podcasting as well. Coming from Louisiana, she started out in theater. Who has grown into an amazing writer and beyond. So I will allow Kimberly to go into detail and introduce herself a little bit more before we jump right into the conversation. So, Kimberly, would you share with the audience a little bit about your background and how you got started into writing?
Yes, I will. And thanks so much for having me as a guest on your podcast, April. I really appreciate it. As you said, yes, I am a native Louisianian, and acting was my first love, but I found myself um, tapping into my minor in mass communications from LSU. And I picked up writing, and I'm so glad that I did. It was something that I thought I'd never do, and it has brought me into a whole new world. And I'm really enjoying the journey that I've been on.
That is great. I want to ask you before we get started into getting to know a little bit more about your journey as an author. In light of everything that's been happening with the COVID pandemic and everything, can you share with everyone where are you finding happiness these days?
Wow. It would have to be with my 14-year-old son who just started high school.
Mm,
And my husband and I have been living vicariously through him. I think we are probably just as excited, if not more than he is, about him starting high school. Everything from meeting the guidance counselor to touring the high school, which has just had a major renovation,
Oh, wow.
as well as just seeing it all through my son's eyes. He decided that he wanted to enroll in honors English,
Mm,
subject which is very near and dear to my heart,
right.
but I never had the courage to take an honors English class. So I'm really excited about that for him, as well as enrolling in a debate class,
Oh, wow. That
which
is
requires tournaments and all of those competitions and things that go along with it. So this past weekend we watched The Great Debaters with Denzel Washington just to give him a little taste
yeah.
of what it's all about. So just experiencing all of that with him, I'm so excited for him to have these experiences, and we actively interrogate him every day when he comes home.
That makes for really great practice. And again, I think you guys couldn't have picked a better choice. It's one of my favorite. I love that movie. How
Yeah.
did he feel about it after watching it?
Well, of course, I had honestly forgotten that it was set in the 1930s
Hmm.
and all of the other elements that went along with the movie
Right.
outside of, the debate. But I think he got a real good view of what it's going to be like to debate, one side of a topic, and that there's a process to it. It's not just I agree with this or that. You
Hmm.
have to go through the motions of why and prove your point, whether you agree with it or not. That's, part of the process. So I think you got a real grasp of what he's going to be doing.
Great. That's great. That's great. Well, let's jump right into it. I have to say, I love your social media handle. For those who don't know, she goes by being a wordsmith on social networks. And I think that's so fitting just because of your background and because of the fact that you've gotten into writing. Um, how did you come up with that name?
Well, I had played around with a couple of things, and Basically, I have, like I was saying before with English, it was my favorite subject in school, and I've always had a love of the English language. And Smith is my last name, so I just thought about being a wordsmith, and it just, kind of fit for me. And I played around with, I'm a wordsmith, and I found that others out there are using the same handle or something similar. And being a wordsmith just kind of fit because I also wanted to tell about what it's like to be that type of person.
Mm, yeah. Well, I think it's spot on. It's memorable and fitting. So I just love it. I even love it that that's the URL to the website.
Thank you.
So that's perfect. Now, the book is called Acting on Her Behalf. You want to share with everyone a little bit about what it's about?
Yes, acting on her behalf is about a young woman who is a TV and film actress.
Mm,
And she is up for an award, a prestigious award. And when she goes to accept her award, which is being filmed on live television, she is arrested by the police for the murder of her best friend.
wow.
Yes. So the book kind of takes you through what she's dealing with as far as being accused of the murder. You find out about her family, and they are all from Louisiana, wink, wink. And the actress, is her name is Colby Crenshaw, and she basically has to figure out how she can defend herself against all of the allegations, as well as dealing with what it's doing to her career. Because, as I said, all this happened on live television. So it's very challenging for her, and she finds herself basically trying to figure out what to do, reflecting on her life and things around her as she's facing these terrible charges.
Wow. And I know it seems like it touches home to a lot of, something that happens in everyday life. So did you draw inspiration from elements from your environment, or was it just pulling pieces of stories that really resonated with you throughout your lifetime in writing a story?
Well, one of the things that I always heard and read about when I was going on my journey to begin writing was to write about something that you know.
Yeah.
And being an aspiring actress was something that I knew a little bit about because of my theater degree in college and some acting that I had done early on, because that was my first passion. And so I kind of pulled from that, as well as her being from Louisiana. Many of the characters actually are based on members of my family. And the members of my family that read the book let me know that they could see themselves in the characters. And even in some cases, it was pointed out to me about things I didn't even realize that I was pulling from my own upbringing. I was just, speaking and writing from what I felt and from my heart. And certain things were pointed out to me. And I did a lot of research because I wanted the book to be as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to talk about, the basic processes of being arrested and what happens for that to take place. And, internet research is great, but I also called upon some friends of mine who are criminal lawyers and or just in the legal field in general. And they pointed out several things to me about the process, about fingerprints and arrest and, You can't just say this or that because it doesn't happen that way.
Right.
And so it was very important to me to make sure I was, telling the story in a believable, plausible way, because I believe readers will call you out if you don't do that.
Right, exactly.
So that was really, really important to me to do that. And I also took a lot of information from Jeffrey Tobin's book about the O.J. Simpson trial,
Oh, okay.
because it was very, very detailed in terms of the process and all the things that went on. And with my character being a celebrity, I kind of felt like, okay, this book is going to tap into, some of that as well. So I just wanted to be as authentic as possible, even though it's a work of fiction.
Okay. And you touched on some really great points that I hope a lot of aspiring writers have taken note of, and that is the research that goes into preparing to write the book. Because I think sometimes, just from my experience, that once you get a manuscript in, that of course it's not well written, and there's still some story development and character development that you sometimes have to go through with some aspiring authors, because they haven't really, like you said, done the research and really gotten an opportunity to thoroughly bring a reader on the journey of what that experience is. So I think that is one of the first gems that Miss Kimberly has dropped today, guys, is that make sure that you really do research when you're getting into writing your story. And before you even consider, handing it off, just make sure that even if you've written it, go back over it if you know you haven't done the research, and just kind of delve a little bit deeper into the type of story you're writing. Even if it's a children's story, just make sure that you have those finite details in place when you're writing your story. So that was a really great gem.
Thank you.
So since you explained to us a little bit about how you got started, can you share with us a little bit about how you went into getting your first break with your book? Like once you've written it and it's out there, and you started to garner sales, can you walk us through that process as to going from, I hope someone buys this book, to finally, people are buying and I feel like that it was all worth it?
Okay. I self-published the book via Amazon's platform, Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP.
Okay.
And I was really grateful that I came across it, because I was a little hesitant with sending my manuscript to the big publishing houses and facing rejection. I had gotten a little bit of that with some publishing houses that I had sent my manuscript to. And it's a very tedious process in terms of sending your product out and waiting for, some sort of feedback. And at the time that I started doing all of this, it was very early on, before the internet was, even a thing to do publishing with.
Yeah.
And so you were basically sending in typewritten manuscripts and waiting, in I guess what people now call the snail mail, for, a response. So when self-publishing came along, I thought, okay, that's the way that I'm going to approach this.
Yeah.
And so when I learned about Amazon's platform, I read everything that I possibly could about it. And I was very surprised at how easy it was to follow their guidelines and their formatting and step by step. And that really motivated me to finish the book and self-publish it with them, because I know that it is a reputable platform, and I would have, my book on display for everyone. And the only piece that I don't think I was successful with was the marketing.
Okay.
And I learned valuable lessons about making a plan to market your book, which I did not do with that particular book, but I still loved the Amazon and still do love the Amazon self-publishing platform with Kindle Direct, because I was able to self-publish the book in Kindle format, and then I turned it into the paperback form, which is an on-demand printing. And I could request a copy of a proof so I could read it, see it, know what it was before I released it to the public.
Okay.
So I've been very pleased with that, and I hope to do more work with them.
That's pretty good. And again, I like that you kind of went into detail so that if someone had never been introduced to the Kindle Direct publishing platform, you kind of give them a little bit of insight of how user-friendly it is and the ease of getting your work out there. Can you just explain, as best you can, some of the costs that may be associated for an author who's considering to self-publish as well?
Sure. One of the things that attracted it to me was it's basically no cost to you. Excuse me. The only cost let's see. Well, first of all, if you'd like a proof of a printed book, I believe at the time that I did it, it was only a couple of dollars, and I believe it's still the same, maybe around $2 or $3 to request a proof that they send to you that you can look at. Additionally, you're able to order author copies for only about $3 or so a copy, and those will be mailed directly to you at that discounted rate because you're the author. And that cost, along with the proof, is the only one in addition to the royalties that Amazon receives. And those are taken right off the top. So you really kind of don't even miss it. And the royalties are based on whatever you put the cost of the book at. So you could get up to 70% of the price of your book that you keep.
Okay.
It just depends on the price point that you're doing. And they also have options for you to enroll in another program that they have. And I am trying to remember the name of it. It's escaping me at the moment. I believe it's KDP Global Select. And what that means is you can have your work distributed to other countries.
Okay, cool.
Through the platform. However, it has some exclusivity to it. And you just have to read whatever the fine print is. I believe for a certain amount of time, it can only be sold through Amazon and not any other vendors if you choose to enroll in that program. But it is optional, but it gives you the opportunity to make more royalties worldwide.
Okay. And for those who may be unaware, have you seen any success with publishing or making your work available in the international market, or have you found that to be a little challenging because of the pandemic? You can't really, travel, or do you do the type of marketing, in-person marketing that you would like?
Well, I wish I would have done a better job at planning a marketing strategy, because that was not my strong point. And had I had that plan in place beforehand, I think I would have done a lot better than just word of mouth and through social media and through my blog, things of that nature. If I would have had a real strategy or someone dedicated to actually help me with it,
Okay.
in terms of, pre-orders and letting people know about the book coming out before it actually did, and doing a launch of some sort.
Mhm.
That would have really, I believe, helped me with sales. Instead, I was, taking it all on my own. And although I was doing it through Amazon, there is a cost for marketing with them with certain plans that they have.
Oh, yeah.
Unless your book winds up being, one of those powerhouses that, they're asking you, can you help them out almost. But that is something that I would love to do better the next go around.
Yeah.
And I know that there are people who are able to do that.
Yeah.
That's your strength, or you have someone dedicated to do that for you. Absolutely. Toot your own horn. Let everybody know. Don't expect that just because you wrote something or published something that everybody's going to know about it, because you've got to let people know that you have that content or that product or that service.
Awesome. Awesome. And so would you say that, just to clarify, most of your sales and growth has been from word of mouth, or was it, did you use your lifestyle blog to also help? Because I know some authors have dibbled and dabbled in blogging. It might not have been lifestyle blogging, but just to help someone who may be considering blogging, do you think your lifestyle blog may have helped contribute to some sales and growth as well?
Yes, I believe that it did.
Okay.
I started the blog in 2013, really as a motivator to finish the book, because I had been struggling with finishing the writing of the book. I started blogging to help me with that daily writing, which was great. But then the blog took on a life of its own, and I was doing more blogging than I was writing the book. And I did talk quite a bit about working on the manuscript and
Okay.
doing that. And I do believe that the social media following that I built up was very instrumental in people finding out about the book that weren't, in my circle, that
Okay.
weren't family and friends. And so I would definitely encourage anyone who is a content creator to definitely have a blog or a website to be able to speak about what it is that you're doing. And I've found that it's great for your family and friends to buy what you're selling, but you're not going to get rich off of just that. You have to have that audience that wants to consume what you're putting out.
Yeah. Yeah. Great point.
So yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, with all of the ups and downs that come along with the journey of writing the book, as well as the journey of trying to market the book, can you share ways that you've used to stay focused and to stay on track instead of just giving up on the book because, maybe you haven't reached the goal of satisfaction that you wanted to reach?
Well, I am a procrastinator by nature. I will admit that. What I will say is what's been helpful for me is having a home office space.
Ah, okay.
And I would encourage anyone who works from home, and especially a creative person, to have a home office space that is just yours. Even if it's a closet in your guest bedroom, which I did once upon a time,
Mhm.
because it's an area where you can go first thing in the morning, get your day started, or middle of the night when you've had an idea strike you and you want to, head to the computer or write it down on a tablet, whatever your way is.
Mhm.
But that has really helped me focus that what I'm doing is not just a hobby.
Yeah.
It's something I'm serious about. It's something I want to be focused on. It's something I want to generate income from. And so I would definitely encourage anyone that, like I said, is a a creative type, a writer, um, or photography, or whatever it is that you're doing, have that space as yours, and put things in front of you, because I'm a visual person, put things in front of you that motivate you and inspire you. I keep several copies of my book on my desk right in front of me to basically remind me, hey, you did this before, you can do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even things such as, the little signs that you can get from the dollar store that say believe or dream, all those things I think feed into your consciousness about how to succeed and how to how to be motivated and be productive.
Right, right. And that's another great gem, everybody. If you if you missed that one, I'll share it again. What Kimberly was saying is that sometimes you have to, self-motivate. And if that looks like putting inspirational quotes in your home office or setting reminders of inspirational or motivational quotes to keep you on track, then do it. Sometimes it's not an easy journey. And most times than never, you're going to want to give up because it can be
Yes.
a lonely journey as well. But you're going to need those reminders. You're going to need, like she said, a home office where you can just go in there, and maybe it's going to be sending out email marketing from home, or maybe it's just going to be just to block out the noise from their family in the household, listening to motivational songs just to get yourself in the right headspace. But that is a very valuable point that you made, is, pick up those things that's going to inspire you and keep you motivated. And, like you say, dollar store, that's a really economical purchase. So
Yes.
I've had to do the same thing in my own home by going there and picking up some things from places like that, or even Ross
Yes.
sometimes. So yeah, really, really great gem. I guess the next thing I want to touch on, because I do want to have you share a little bit about, your theater experience, how you got into that a little bit more, because I know that there are some authors who either want to take their book into either film or make it a play, but they might have already been have that introduced and maybe at the point of, okay, where do I or how can I find talent? But before we get there, I do want to ask you your take and opinion on, if someone has already introduced their book to the world and they feel like it might be just a little stale, and they want to revive some life into it, what are some ideas that you can recommend for them to do? Like, would you suggest doing an alternate book cover, or what do you believe that you can share with them?
I did an alternate book cover a couple years ago to spark interest in my book again.
Okay.
And I was fortunate enough to have someone that designed the book cover give me two great book covers. And I went with the first one that was bright and lively, it was red and white and black. And when I did like a reboot of the book, I did the other cover, which I thought was more, the colors weren't as bright, but the concept of the design was very much in line with what the book was about.
Okay.
And so that sparked some interest. I would also encourage people, if they can, to do an audio version of the book.
Oh, that's really good.
And Amazon has that piece on their platform as well. I've looked over it. I have not really delved into it, but it's something that I've thought about doing. And also with my book, I think it's the type of book that is kind of timeless in terms of the things that are said and talked about. You wouldn't be able to necessarily place it in a particular time.
Okay.
So if you do have a book, let's say, and you're talking about, certain things that might make it seem dated, you can do an update in terms of, if they're talking on the phone, maybe they're texting now and they're emailing and they're, Snapchatting, all of those types of things that you might want to put in the book to make it an updated version, and also with the book, the when I did the second cover, I put reviews that I received on Amazon on the back cover
Oh yeah, really good
that
idea.
I didn't have on the original one, just to give it, credibility, basically. And I was glad to have, those great reviews that I could put on the back of the cover. And I also did a different picture of myself and an updated bio that I didn't have from the first one.
It's a really good idea, because I think that sometimes authors can forget how important sharing reviews of their work is. Because I've run across a lot of books who they may have one or two reviews on Amazon, but they didn't recycle them and share that on their social media, or like you did when they upgraded the cover, they didn't put them back there.
Mhm.
Those reviews are gold, really. And
Yes.
sometimes there are authors who end up having to pay companies to review the book for them just to have some. So if you have reviews, if it's on Amazon, even if it's word of mouth, see if ask that person if you can use that as a quote, because those reviews are golden in helping
Mhm.
other readers determine if they're going to buy or not. So that's another gem. That is gem 3, guys. So that's really great. So again, I do want to touch into theater, because like I said, I run across a lot of people who have an interest in getting their book to, either be a play or get it into the film platform. However, they don't know what that is like, or if they're already there, they don't know the first direction to turn in terms of casting or things like that. So please share with the listeners a little bit about your experience and knowledge in theater.
Well, growing up, I always wanted to be an actress. I was always enamored with celebrities and entertainment and soap operas and all of it. And I enjoyed doing theater growing up, whether it was a play at church or I was doing community theater. It was just something I was always happy to do. First
Mhm.
one that wants to speak on whatever program you have. And that went on into high school. And also, when I went to LSU, I majored in theater. And I was able to do some work with some really great people in the community. I did a couple commercials for some of the local companies,
Mhm.
as well as I did a film with a group from England. I believe it was England or the UK. It was definitely in Europe. And they came over and they filmed the haunted history for the Myrtles plantation in St. Francisville, the haunted plantation. And I was the lead in the movie,
Wow.
played the slave Chloe that is said to haunt the house. And we were able to actually film at the Myrtles and at some of the plantations that they filmed in the big miniseries North and South back in the 80s.
Okay.
So that was really awesome. And I found out a couple years ago, honestly, that the guy that directed the movie, James Hawes, is the director for the mini series Black Mirror, which I think is on Netflix.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize it was the same guy. But it was a wonderful experience. But after several years after I had graduated from LSU, I'd been moving around a couple of times. I realized that acting was not my path, that writing was.
Oh yeah.
But it still always has stuck with me. And I have thought about turning my book into a screenplay. And although I had to basically teach myself
Mhm.
the writing process. I enrolled in a couple of online classes, correspondence courses, but really I had to soak up all of that knowledge to figure out what the process really was. And I know with writing a screenplay, that's not easy either, but
Right.
it's still something that can be learned. And what I've been told is the difference between writing a book
Mhm.
and writing a screenplay is you're talking about the action with writing the book, but with the screenplay, you have to show it. So it's two
Yeah.
totally different formats. However, I do still have an interest in doing it.
Mhm.
And I've read about so many people that they did not feel comfortable writing the screenplay, so they had someone do it. And that's basically where you get those Oscars for the adaptation of a screenplay.
Yes.
That's it right there, because someone took a book or written format and made a movie out of it. So I would definitely encourage people to do that if that's something they want to do, or have someone that they trust to do it, or write up a pitch to sell it to a studio of some sort.
Okay.
Those things, of course, involve agents and things of that nature. So I started to get a little hesitant about that, but I don't want to discourage anyone else from doing it. And along the way, I've also learned, about having that representation from an agent,
Okay.
because I've read Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, they don't take unsolicited work
Right.
because they've been sued too many times
Mm.
for people saying they copied their work. So you can't just drop it in the mail to them. You have to have an agent represent you to pitch an idea or something like that of that sort. And I also said that although I had stepped back from acting, if I ever turned my book into a movie, I had to be the one to play the lead role. No one else would be able to do it. So
Is this something you feel that maybe you can help others kind of navigate a little bit, just in case, because we know it's all about who and sometimes maybe someone connecting with you could get them a little further along on their journey. If it's something that you're open to doing, I just wanted to ask in case there's some listeners just looking for an entry point.
absolutely.
Okay.
I have no problem sharing what I know. I believe there is enough in this world for everyone. And when I first started blogging, even, I was so green. I had no clue what I was doing. And I read everything that I could about blogging. I networked with other bloggers. And what I found is bloggers love to blog about how to blog. And I was
Irony.
so I was so excited that people wanted to share what they knew.
Okay.
And it wasn't just what they were telling me with our personal conversations, it's what they're writing on their websites.
Mhm.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel. The information is out there. And so I'm happy to share with anybody what my experience has been, what my journey has been, because I think that that's how people grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You learn from someone else, you pay it forward, you pass it on to someone else. Because again, there's enough out there for everybody, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. And again, for those who want to be able to connect with Kimberly, her social media handle, well, her website it's called beingawordsmith.com. So that would be the first place to find her at and send her an email with any interest that you have. But Kimberly, I'll let you share what your social media handles are, if they may differ from platform to platform. That way someone who doesn't use email but just want to shoot you a message in your DM or something like that, they may be able to find you online as well.
Yes, all of my handles are Being a Wordsmith, B as in boy, EING, a wordsmith. That's my handle on Instagram. My Facebook fan page is also Being a Wordsmith, as well as Pinterest and Twitter.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So what is next for you? You have an amazing book out. And again, everyone, the title of the book is called Acting on Her Behalf. It's available, as Kimberly said, on Amazon. You can probably get a signed copy from her if you send her an email or inquiry on her website, Being a Wordsmith, but make sure you go out and pick up Acting on Her Behalf as well. So what is next? Since you have this amazing book, what can the world expect from you to come?
I am working on a second book. It is another murder mystery, and the characters are set in Louisiana. And I'm really excited about the book because, again, I'm writing about what I know. And a lot of what occurs in the book is based on things that I experienced as a child, as well as my mother and my grandmother. So I'm going to be dedicating the book to them. I'm really excited about that. And it is a standalone murder mystery. It's not a sequel to the first one. So that was something I went back and forth on as to whether or not I would do a sequel for the first one. But this is another murder mystery with characters different from the first.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. 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 So I feel like we learned so much just from sharing space with you this evening. I want to thank you again for taking time just to pour into others and share all of the industry knowledge that you have, from starting in theater to becoming a published author as well. Are there any sentiments that you can share with someone who may be second guessing getting started, or just questioning if they're talented enough to even be published or share their work with the world?
I would say it's never too late for you to write a book, start a business, anything similar to that. When I published the book, I had just turned 40 years old. So you can definitely do it at any age. And I would encourage you to figure out what your audience is also, not just who you want to write for or reach with your content, but who is it that's already probably reading what you're doing if you have some existing work out there. Don't concentrate so much on who you want to reach. Don't forget about the people that you're already probably reaching, because they're important as well. And learn everything that you possibly can about the craft that you're working on, because the information is out there, I promise you. And with the internet, you can find out just about anything you want to know about. And that's what I did. The blogging, all of it, it was self-taught. The HTML codes, all of those things that were very intimidating in the beginning, I learned how to do it because I just soaked up all the knowledge that was out there. And I watched what other people were doing. And I asked questions. If I wanted to know, I had no problem emailing someone and asking them, how did you do X, Y, Z? And you'd be very surprised at how willing people are to, give you that information. Right. And I host a link party on my website, beingawordsmith.com. It's called Traffic Jam Weekend Link Party. And I do it on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And basically, it's just a link up for bloggers, writers, and authors to post whatever they'd like that links back to their site with an image. And I share the HTML code with 4 other bloggers, so it would be seen on their site as well. And it runs from Thursdays, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time to Monday, 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. So it's a traffic jam weekend because we're trying to create traffic.
Now that is brilliant, and it's a way kind of like giving back, again,
Yeah.
you're still pouring into others and giving them a platform to shine, because your blog has a really serious following. So if anyone out there is looking for a platform just to reach a bigger and broader audience, make sure you find your way to beingawordsmith.com on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Central Time. Again, it has been a pleasure just sharing space with you and hearing your journey. And I'm sure everyone listening has benefited tremendously from listening in tonight. So Kimberly, I want to thank you, and blessings on your journey to come.
Thank you so much, April. I appreciate it.